Hi and welcome to the Cult TV Sofa. This is a reaction video of the 18th episode of Season 1 of Babylon 5 called A Voice in the Wilderness, Part 1. Last time we saw a Minbari general's body being brought in state to the station. The body disappeared, leading to a huge search and accusations from the senior Minbari who brought the body on board. We discovered that it was Delenn that stole the body, or at least coordinated the theft, as the general had previously been a member of the religious caste, and she knew that the deceased wanted a simple ceremony. We also witnessed some of the power that Delenn actually wields within the Minbari themselves. We saw Ivanova and Talia Winters verbally spar over what the fate should be of a young girl whose telepathic abilities had just appeared as well. So let's see what happens in the next episode. I'm going to put any relevant trivia that I find over here, and at the end of the reaction I'm going to be discussing what happened and my thoughts about it. And I'm going to start it in 3, 2, 1.
Excuse me, perhaps you might help me. I'm looking for Ambassador Delenn. Could you tell me where I might find her?
Of course. This way.
Really? So security just take you where you want to go? Especially to an ambassador.
Shuttle 1, you're clear to begin geological survey.
I think I talked over that bit then. There's some instability on the planet beneath them that they're in orbit of, so they're sending a survey ship to investigate. That's not good. That Minbari came on board the station, and the first thing he did was go up to, I assume that was a security guard, looked like a security, and he said something like, "Hello, I'm looking for Ambassador Delenn," and he said, "Yes, this way," like he was going to lead him straight to the ambassador's quarters. Well, for one, would security, or to be honest anybody on the station, lead someone like that? And two, especially to an ambassador, I mean, that's a senior role. You would say, oh, have you contacted their aide or their office? You know, go through the channels to arrange a meeting or whatever. You don't just lead them straight to the ambassador. Who knows what their intentions are? That's just odd. Yeah, so let's see what happens.
Babylon control.
Oh, that's a big beam.
It was some kind of massive power surge, right off the scale.
What was it?
I have no idea.
We were told the planet we're orbiting is stable, safe, and uninhabited. Now it appears to be none of those things.
The seismic activity planet-side could have triggered an automatic system of some kind.
Paused a second. This is a huge thing. They built the station in orbit of a deserted, uninhabited planet. And now, this huge station, which is integral for trade and diplomacy, the planet beneath it just fired a huge laser beam, or beam of some kind, that you could see from the station. So it was obviously very large and very powerful to be able to fire that far out. And to be honest, the way it was firing, might even be able to hit the station. I would have. I mean, he's saying, yeah, we'll look into it tomorrow morning. But I mean, you would surely be requesting a lot of teams of people from Earth to come immediately. Maybe some support, military support in the ships and things to help protect the station. I mean, there are a couple of 100,000 people on board that station who they need to protect. Seems a little bit low key, the response. I mean, it's such a huge thing. And so I said earlier, why wasn't it picked up in the initial scans? But he just made the point that maybe there was some sort of some of the seismic activity has caused something to happen and made a difference. So maybe that's why things, and the beam was fired. Okay, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, odd response. Such a big thing.
Negotiations are so much more enjoyable when certain individuals are not here to interfere.
Shakar. Nice to see some proper diplomacy going on for a change, especially from Londo.
If the Nans all stood together in one place and hated all at the same time, that hatred could fly across dozens of light years and reduce Centauri Prime to a ball of ash.
But whose fault is that?
Are you sure it's a beacon?
Well, once our instruments came back online, we were able to run a few tests. It's definitely a series of regular signals repeated at specific intervals.
Quickly, what is the third principle of sentient life?
Drow.
Soon you will have forgotten all about your old friend, Drow.
But that kind of makes my point. Yeah, good, he's a good person, it looks like, but what if he'd been there for nefarious purposes? He could have just come around the corner and attacked her.
As ISN viewers may know, all contact with the Mars colony has been cut off since noon today, Earth Standard Time. We're now receiving confirmation that an open revolt is in progress against the Earth-appointed provisional government.
Just pause in a second, because I want to make sure I get this right in my head, so I can say it out loud for you as well, hopefully. So, Mars colony, exactly as it says, it was a colony of Earth colonists who went to Mars. They've built up Mars over time into I assume a thriving place to be, but it still has Earth oversight, and it now looks like they has Brexit basically. So like the UK want to leave Europe, kind of, not quite the same, but close enough. Actually probably more like Scotland wanting to break away from the United Kingdom. So they want to separate from Earth and be their own colony, and obviously Earth don't want that. I would assume there are financial and cultural benefits from having Mars as a colony of Earth. I can understand they wouldn't want that to happen, but obviously there seems to be now a rebellion, there's fighting, civil war basically. And at the moment they've lost main contact with Mars, so it's very, very much like certain rebels on Mars are taking over.
You alright, Commander?
I don't know. Last night, just before I went to bed, I saw...
You'd think he'd have reported that. Ooh. Huh. In a previous episode, I talked bizarrely about the mugs, and the fact that they, in Star Trek, they have a certain design of mug different to the ones here, but they actually had the sort of the Star Trek Deep Space Nine design mugs then, with the wide base which narrowed. It looked like an actual copy of their mugs. Sorry, just thought I'd mention that.
Our world is changing, Delenn. I'm not sure when it began to change. Perhaps the war. I am going to the sea. Better to find a place out there in the sea of stars where I can be of service before the end.
So is it like a kind of self-isolation into the stars? He's kind of just going out and travelling and never to return.
My feet are firmly on the path, and the road beckons me down to the sea. There I will find the purpose and meaning.
So it's kind of like a final tour of his friends, family, places before he goes off, basically never to return.
What the hell do you mean you can't get a signal through to the Mars colony?
Sorry. Communications are out, but there is nothing we can do until the government decides to lift the communications blackout.
Just get your readings, make a low-altitude scan of the surface, and get out in one piece.
What will you do if you find anything of value down there?
The odds of that are pretty small. It's probably just an automated homing beacon left over from hundreds of years ago.
Yes, but if it isn't, will you tell me?
No.
I would have thought they probably would tell the whole council at once, not one by one. I wonder who owns that space. Is it neutral? But Earth military in charge of the station, so I don't know.
I need your help. Can I just have 5 minutes? Please.
Okay.
She'd be able to pick up that he's worried about something.
Before I came to Babylon 5, my last job was working security on the Mars colony. One thing made it worth all the grief. Her name's Lise Hampton. The last time we spoke, it ended up with a slammed door and me on the last flight out.
Must be hard to have a loved one in that situation and not knowing what's happened to her.
Psychor's got an intelligence and training operation in Syria Planum. The point is they've got the equipment to put together a relay, get me into the local comm net. I could take it from there.
But I'll do what I can.
Initiating atmosphere drop to 5 kilometers inside the atmosphere curtain.
Negative, Survey 1. Do not enter atmosphere.
Yeah, that's not good. Maybe you should listen to Ivanova? I mean, she's obviously military, they're civilian, I would assume, so... In fact, let's go pause a sec. So, she probably doesn't have direct command over them, but they are operating within Babylon 5 space, which she does have control over. So I suppose they would have to do things like flight plans and following. I think. Don't know. I don't quite know how it would work. Does she have command over them to order them to not do something? Not sure. But they should listen to her.
Hit your afterburners, maximum burn. With any luck, they can't follow you outside the atmosphere.
We won't have enough fuel to get back.
Doesn't
The
matter.
fires will tow you back in. Now do it!
Yeah. Doesn't matter that you can't get back. As long as you get out of orbit, sort the rest out afterwards.
Upon arrival, you will report for debriefing. Ivanova is always right. I will listen to Ivanova.
Like I
I
said.
will not ignore Ivanova's recommendations. Ivanova is God.
That fissure, is it natural or artificial?
Hard to say. My guess is it's artificial. It was probably opened by one of the quakes that have hit that region lately.
How deep is that fissure?
Our analysis of the data suggests the missile was fired 5 miles within the planet's surface.
That's a long way.
Well, we don't know what other long-range weaponry might be down there, so until we know more, I'd definitely consider it a threat to station security.
Yeah. I would have from the beginning.
I'd say we pretty much have to go down there and check it out. Wouldn't you agree, Lieutenant Commander?
Absolutely.
Mr. Garibaldi, whatever it is, it can't be that bad.
It can be. But at least it cheered him up.
You looked as if you needed a friend.
I did.
Hey, somebody better pay for the drink.
Bless him.
All right, Delta Flight, stand by. We're ready to go in.
So the two most senior staff are flying into a hostile environment under missile attack. I can't imagine that would ever be allowed to happen.
Lights.
Yeah, I'd have had those on a little bit earlier than that.
It's an opening, all right. Definitely artificial.
So is there atmosphere on that planet? Because that's all open. So the environments.
Gravity 0.75 of Earth normal. Atmosphere 90% carbon dioxide, 10% trace elements. We'll definitely need those breathers.
Thank you very much. Answers the question. But 0.75 gravity, so there's going to be... they won't be able to walk completely normally. There's probably going to be a little bit of a bounce to their walk. There should be.
Sorry, Miss Wonders, but there's nothing I can do. In order to preserve our confidential status, access to our facility is confined only to members of Psychor. I can run a check on her name and see if she's listed among the wounded.
Oh, that's a big thing for them to do. Kind of said in a few episodes, no matter how they're portrayed, I don't think the people in the Psychor are generally all bad. Psychops, different matter. Haven't seen enough of them, or enough variety of them to know whether that's true or not. But most of in fact, all of the Psy-Corps people have been good, or had good intentions. Talia Winters doesn't seem bad. She's she's helping out Garibaldi now. We had the telepath in that internal affairs investigation. He seemed like a good person. She was doing her job. She said that no, they can't do the channel. Fair enough, but she said, I'll do what I can, see what I can find out, see if I can find information about her. She didn't have to do that. It's not the Psy-Corps people, I think, that are the issue. It's the Psy-Corps itself as a entity, and probably senior people perhaps corrupted it. But the actual Psy-Corps itself, the people in there, I don't think are all bad. From what we've seen so far, anyway. Yeah, so I'd share that. Don't recognise the species.
Wait!
Yeah, what killed him? I'm surprised there haven't been more traps, things, like the entrance when they flew into it. I mean, they flew straight in. You have to do that check. That'll give you a headache.
1, 2, 3.
It's a 4-second recharge.
Looks like it. Can you cover that in 3 seconds?
Not a problem.
I'd want to do a few more tests before I trust that theory. Nice effect, though.
You okay?
Yeah, fine.
I think you'd know if you weren't to be blood spurting all over the place. So look forward to on the way out.
Commander,
Yeah.
I think I've got to go to the bathroom.
They couldn't get into the logs for the dead or wounded, but they were able to access the list of survivors.
And?
Her name isn't on it. Possible that something's happened to her.
Yeah, we don't know. That's no news at all. The way she phrased it was so negative. You were sure to say, look, I can't find any trace of her at the moment. We're still looking, or it's not good news, not bad news. We're still looking, or have to wait and see. But the way she phrased it was, can't find one of the survivors, so she's probably dead. Basically, that's such a bad way of doing that. So I got the impression that no one's been down there. There's been no activity for hundreds of years.
Help me,
Looks good for a few hundred years
or
old.
your people will die.
Okay. It's a good incentive to help. Cool set.
We can't leave him like
But you
this.
don't know what it's doing, all that being connected. That could be even worse, taking him out. That could have been keeping him alive.
We've got a ship coming through the jump gate.
Fine.
Mr. Garibaldi, it's big.
The hell?
I didn't realise we were so close to the end. Okay. That was a good episode. It's very much kicked it up a notch from the previous episodes. There's still an awful lot that's annoyed me about this one, though. They've done there's the in Star Trek, the I can't think of the words, criticism. A lot of the original series was that obviously Kirk and all the senior staff always beamed down into danger, but that changed in the Next Generation. The captain was pretty much always on the ship, and the first officer went down into dangerous situations, which is much more realistic. But here you've got this, they don't know what's down there, they don't know if they can get down there safely. There are missiles fired all over the place, and yet the two most senior staff fly down without care in the world. Yeah, that's weird. They don't know what taking that alien out of that whatever he was in would do. It might have been taking him out, he'd die immediately. So that seems weird. The fact that Sinclair didn't tell anyone initially that he saw something, that's a bit worrying, actually. Whichever way you look at it, if it was real, if he saw it and he actually did see it, then he should be telling someone, because that's something they should be looking into. Something was asking for help that appeared and disappeared. And if it was in his mind, he should be telling someone, because he's in charge of the station. If he's seeing things and hearing things, he needs some help. So that's really bad on multiple levels. They didn't tell anyone until Ivanova, he sort of mentioned it to her the next day. So that's weird. We kind of saw a different side of Londo in this one. He was a bit more professional in this one. We saw him actually properly negotiating. He was really nice to Garibaldi. Not that he's been horrible to Garibaldi in the past. They do seem to have that relationship, but a light relationship. But he saw that something was wrong with Garibaldi. I would assume he's obviously heard about what's happening in Mars and maybe put two and two together. And he tried to cheer him up, which was nice. Although he stabbed him with the bill. So that's Londo. So yeah, we saw some nice sides of him, or different sides of him, and it was good. It made him a bit more of a expanded his character a bit. Although his quarters looked a bit of a mess, and he was making his own drinks and stuff. So I'm assuming Via is away or something, and not looking after him like he normally would. And then we've got Dral, this friend of Delen's, visiting the station. So it sounds like he feels like he's done all he can do on Minbari and on Minbar, sorry. And things are changing. Which actually I was thinking at the time is a bit reminiscent of what Londo was saying about the Centauri when he spoke to Mr. Morden. It was obviously a much watered down version of that sort of speech, but it's very similar in the fact that the species are both changing and going through different phases. I was thinking that at the time. So yeah, he wants to basically go out there into the universe and see what else is out there, help where he can, and basically die out there. But he's doing like a final tour of people he knows and loves before he does that, which isn't necessarily I don't think to me a bad way of doing things. Saying goodbye. If you die, most people die. It's immediate. You're not expecting it. It just happens. This way you get to say goodbye in a happy way, and then go out there. And it's not like you're going to die immediately. You're going to go out there and hopefully live your life and see amazing things. So that's actually quite a nice way of doing things. And what do they call it? Going into the sea. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a nice way of doing things, personally. There's a lot that happened to this one. I'm just trying to make sure I've covered it. Oh, and the Mars side. So yeah, so Mars, sounds like things are falling apart there. So the Free Mars organization are the ones who kind of cause all the problems. No, problems is perhaps the wrong word. We don't know for definite which side's right and which side's wrong. Who are rebelling, let's say. That's probably the safest way of putting it. And it sounds like it's very serious. So yeah, obviously it's the first of two parts. So we'll see what happens in the second part about that, and obviously everything else. Yeah, so really good episode. Really want to watch the second part now. I might do. I'm not sure. If you see me wearing the same t-shirt in the next video, you know I watched the second one straight away. So let me know what you thought about this one in the comments below. Don't put any spoilers in there, just in case I don't watch it. But yeah, see you for the next half of the episode. Be seeing you.